My live now? I don't see it. Do not see it. I do in fact see it. Okay. I'm back. Boy, this is frustrating. My internet just randomly drops at random times during the day, and then it comes back a few minutes later. That's really annoying. But we're not going to let that hold us back. I have no idea where I actually died, where the stream died. So I'm going to try this again. So this producer interface is going to be responsible for whoever knows what's supposed to show up in the contents of this list here. Because the list itself, the controller doesn't know what's supposed to show up in it. This could be quests, this could be like, I don't know, options, this could be a list of items, who knows? The list does nothing. So it's going to rely on somebody else, it's going to rely on a producer to tell it what should be in the list. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to calculate which items are going to be visible at any given time. Because there could be 100 items, and only 5 of them might show up. And I'm going to get those specific items and ask those items to draw. And what those items are going to be are going to be a list item. So I want a list item. And the list item interface. Now, what should this be? I don't know if this might be anything at all. This might be just void draw at X and Y. Yeah, I think that's all that's going to be. Because it just needs to know, like, there's nothing else that this, height. There. And I guess X is always going to be 0. It's actually, yeah, draw Y. So, what these items are going to be, actually, better idea. We're going to put that on the producer interface and say that all items have to be the same height. I think that'll be better. And then this is just going to be draw. There'll be other stuff we put in here later. For now, I'm just going to focus on drawing. So, what I'm going to say is, I want a producer, and that'll be there. Producer. And I'm going to demand that you give me a producer when you create me. This dot producer. And then we can already implement this algorithm. Let's say int h equals this dot producer dot get item height. Actually, we'll say if this dot producer does not equal null, we'll do that. And then we can say, so the number of visible items is not just, so the naive, so number of items, num items is this dot height divided by the height of a single item. That's the naive number. It's actually going to be 2 plus that, because there might be a partial item off screen at the top and bottom if you scroll properly. And maybe this might be a little overkill, but we're talking about, it's definitely at least 1 plus, probably 2 plus. And if it's only 1 plus, then we're drawing 1 extra item, and that's not a really big deal. So num items is 2 plus that. And what we can do, so we also need to know our scroll height or a scroll position. And we're going to say scroll Y starts at 0 always. Actually, we're going to make a method to calculate the number of visible items. Num visible items, because we're going to use this a couple times, I bet. So return get height, this stuff. Then scroll height, we're also going to need to know this dot producer dot get item height times this dot producer dot get num items. We're also in, so I'm thinking a couple steps ahead here, but if you think about a scroll bar, a scroll box, a list box like this, when you scroll it, there's an item. This is better explained with the diagram. So can I get back to that? So if you think about, oh, I almost had it. Okay. If you think about this again, about these items, we're obviously going to pretend that the red boxes are scroll boxes. These black boxes are going to be our scroll, or the list items. The range of potential scroll values. Like this is 0, right? This is the top of the list, and the maximum is not 0 plus the total height, because that would make it like this. What we want is the total height minus the height of the box itself. This is our maximum scroll height. And so we'll put that into our method here. Max scroll height is get item height times number of items minus this dot height. And also if this dot producer equals null, return 0. If this dot producer dot equals null, return 0. Is that going to cause a division by 0? Hopefully not. Why? Num visible items. I still am going to need this, so I'll leave that there. So now so what we need to do is figure out what the top possible item is that we're showing. So we have this scroll Y. Basically, the number of, so if we look back to this, if we're starting at 0, that's easy. It's the first, in this case, the first 2 items. But if we're like here, I need to figure out that the first visible item is the first item here, and then it's all 3 items. Whereas if it's like this, the first visible item is actually the second item. So I don't want to draw the first one if I don't have to. And so, we need to know, so we can figure out how many items we're definitely going to skip, right? So num skipped equals this dot equals height times, no, is scroll Y divided by H. So if scroll Y is 0 and H is 10, let's say, then 0 divided by 10 is 0. And so we're skipping none. If scroll Y is 5, 5 divided by 10 is, as you know from school, 0. These are integers, so we're using integer math here. Integers don't have decimal places, and so it always rounds down. So if it's 10, if scroll Y is 10 and height is 10, then that means that we're in the case where it's just past the first item. And so we can still skip the first item. So 10 divided by 10 is 1. So that seems to check out. And so I guess what this means is that we just need to do this for int I equals num skipped yi is less than equal to num items, and that. Is that correct? Is that always correct? Because num visible items, in this case, is going to be returning 3, because that's the maximum number visible. But for here, 1, 2, 3 is not going to be correct. Okay, let's do this. We're renaming this to max visible items. Is that... Alright, we'll make this... Okay. The lesser of the number of maximum visible items, or actually, hang on. Part of the reason I'm confused is because this doesn't make sense. Num skipped is going to be like 1. What I actually want is to start at 0 and go through num items. And I think I don't need to worry about this at all. Alright, here's what we're going to do. And so the for loop, start at 0, end if I exceeds num items, or if I plus num skipped is greater than this dot producer dot get num items. I think. So, alright. When I'm validating logic like this, so this is not at all obvious what's actually going on here. When I'm validating logic like this, I started with a base case. What if the list is empty? Max visible items, so that's still going to be 3, for example. Scroll y, so but max scroll height, this is going to be item height times 0. So this would be 10 times 0 minus 400, let's say. Like, I'm making things up here. And so this is going to be a negative number. So actually, this is incorrect also. Let's say return the greater of 0 or this value. Alright, so this will only ever return 0 or higher. Actually, I guess this isn't even called, so never mind. Scroll y. So, but actually, we're going to use that to bound this variable. So scroll y is always going to be at least 0. But in this case, it's also going to be maximum 0. So 0 divided by 10. So skipping none, skipping 0. So we start at 0. Well, I is less than num items. So max visible items is 3. So 0 is less than 3. That's correct. And I plus num skipped, so 0 plus 0, is greater than or equal to this dot produce dot get num items. Now we know that because the get num items is 0, there are no items, and so we shouldn't loop at all. So actually, this is wrong. This should be greater than, because 0, because we're saying that, no, this should be less than. Yeah, there we go. 0 is 0 less than 0? No, it's not. So this whole thing returns false, and so this loop aborts. If getNumItem is 1, 0 plus 0 is less than 1. Yes, that's correct. So go ahead and loop. Then it becomes I equals 1. 1 is less than num items. False. and 1 plus 0 is less than num items, false. So both sides are also false. If get items is 10, and num skipped is 9 for whatever reason, then I equals 9. So 9 is less than num items, yes. 9, sorry, I is 0. 0 is less than num items, yes. Actually, this is not, this is redundant now, actually, because we're never gonna get past, num skipped is never gonna be more than, I is always gonna be less than num skipped, because the same time that num skipped is violated, this will also be violated. I don't know if anybody but myself was able to follow that. If so, congratulations. Thumbs up. Anyway, I'm pretty confident about this, and if this is wrong, then we'll see it pretty quickly. But yeah, so we'll get the item now. So list item get item equals this.producer.get item I plus num skipped plus num skipped item.draw I times height plus scroll y. So let's unpack this. So we know that based on our scroll y, we're skipping some values. Is this right? No. Hang on. No. I times h. You know what? Maybe this isn't that. Maybe I don't do it like that. And I'll explain why later. Basically, so we're getting the item. So we're starting. So based on this, we're skipping some number of items. Let's suppose it's 0. So number skipped 0. So starting with 0 plus 0, get the 0th item, which is the first item. And then we're telling it to draw at 0 times height, which is 10. So 0 times 10 is 0. So we're telling it to draw at 0. Then we get the second item, I equals 1, 1 plus 0, get the first item, which is the second item, the 1th item, which is the second item, drawn at 1 times 10, which is 10. And then get the second item, which is the third item, drawn at I times, at 2 times 10, which is 20, and so on, until we run out of items. Oh, hang on a second. Now I'm understanding this a little better. I do need num items because num items is not the same as num skipped, which is something I forgot. I saw num items, I saw num, and num here. That's not the same thing. Proper variable naming is important. This h is improperly named also. Item height. I think this looks good. Now, if you know anything, if you're familiar with programming, you're gonna wonder why scroll H or scroll Y is not needed. Why is that not needed? Do I need it? Actually, I'm gonna try something first. Instead of accepting height, I didn't think about what the client, what we're gonna need to know in order to draw a single list item. Each item is gonna have a box. Maybe we give it a box. Give it the width and the height. All right, we're gonna say we're gonna tell the code draw 0, 0 with this width and this height, and that's the height. So item width will be this dot width, and that's gonna change at some point because we're gonna add a scroll bar, which is gonna eat up a little bit of real estate, but we haven't got that yet. We're gonna worry about this first. But then for this to work, we're also going to need to okay, so a little bit of OpenGL business here. When you're, you can apply what's called transformation. And this is a little bit confusing. I will fully admit. But in essence, what we're doing is we're seeing that anytime I try to draw a given place, okay, what I'm going to do here is add a transformation of item height. And what I'm saying here is that whenever I draw, when I draw here at 0, 0, I want that to be offset. I want that to be behind the scenes offset by item height. And what that means is that as I loop through this and draw in each of these draws at 0, 0, we're going to keep offsetting the place where we're drawing by that same amount. And so even though they're drawing at the same coordinates, 0, 0, I'm moving where 0, 0 means. And then to properly do this, I need to GL11 push matrix and GL11 GL pop matrix. And what these mean is that when I'm pushing the matrix, I'm basically saying, like, so here I'm playing a trick. I'm telling this guy always draw 0, 0, and I'm changing what 0, 0 means. But it's also possible that this code is also being tricked in exactly the same way. Someone is calling my draw method, and they might be moving me around. And so if I do this, the code that's calling me doesn't know that I'm moving the translation around, and that might mess them up. What this does is let me save any current state, any current transformations. Like remember what it looks like right now. I'm gonna mess it up in here a whole bunch, but down here when I'm popping the matrix, when I'm popping the transformations, I want it to go back to the way it was when I pushed it up here. This is using what's called a stack. And if you imagine a stack of dishes, that's the metaphor. Here I'm pushing a new dish on top of the stack that has the current settings, and then I'm doing a bunch of stuff, and I'm removing that top dish with the settings I had before. And if I'm inside here, it wants to do any game translation stuff also. It's going to do the same thing. It's going to save its own settings, do whatever it wants, and then restore whatever was there before. So that when my code comes back in here and loops again, I don't even know that anything changed, which is exactly how it's supposed to work. If that didn't make any sense, it's not super duper important. But that said, I think that this is correct. Now, yeah, yes, yes, no, almost. There's one other thing here. I'm also going to, offset us by this scroll y. Do I have scroll x? Also, so I actually don't need this. And by extension, I also don't need this. Sorry, I forgot something important, which is that I talked, so in the first part of this stream, which is probably now in a different archive because of my shitty internet, I explained about GUI clip size. And GUI clip size, it does this already. It already offsets the translation using push and pop, the way I just said. It also does some other stuff, but that's not important. So in my code, I don't need to also offset it. It's already offset for me. I can also pretend that 0, 0 is correct, which is what I do right here. I draw my background as 0, 0, and I tell other people to draw as 0, 0, and then also offset them. But, that's not correct here. No, that's correct. Is that correct? No, that's not correct. Because, okay, my background. All right. This is not correct. I'm not going to fix it because I want to show off why this is not correct. To do, this is not correct. When we get a few hours from now, if I make it that far, we'll see why that this is not correct. But for now, I'm going to pretend that it is correct. Because it'll be funny when I show it off. So we have our item, we have a drawing, I have the proper interfaces. I don't have a way to scroll yet manually, but we'll worry about that in a little bit. Now we're actually gonna implement the other side of this. We'll go back to our test GUI, and now this is complaining that it needs a producer, and we're gonna say that the producer is this, which refers to the current object, and that's a problem because right now this does not implement the correct interface. So we're going to say implements GUI list.producer. So now this is correct, but now it's complaining that I don't actually have the right items implemented. So we're going to implement those correctly, currently. Right now we're going to hardcode this to have 3 items. I'm going to say that each of those items is 20 pixels tall. And this is just for testing. We'll actually do this properly later. I need another item here that implements this other interface. So we're going to use an inner class called test list item, which implements GUI list.list item and implement the draw method. So what I'm actually going to do here is copy these again. And I'm going to draw these as red instead. Actually, I'm going to draw 1, 1, width -2, and height -2. And the reason for that is so that, because if we draw at 0, 0, we're going to overlap. No, we're going to draw at 0, 0. Whoops. I still want I want this change to happen, but I just realized that I have a better way of doing that. We want this class to not have to worry about borders or scroll bars or anything like that. Here we're gonna do this. We're gonna say these are the bounds, the actual real places you get to draw, and we're gonna offset. We are gonna offset this. Whoops. By 1 pixel to the left, to the right. So we're gonna say that shove everything we draw after this point over by 1, and so these guys when they draw over here when I draw, I'm gonna draw 0, 0. Width might be 30 for real, but I'm gonna get 28. So my box is only gonna be 28 pixels wide, and when I draw 0, I'm actually drawing out 1. And so if you remember what our background looks like, it's got this white border outline. I'm going to draw inside only the black space, not the white. And my borders can be red because that's how I've set it up. And then all we have to do is return new test list item. Now, in a real implementation of this, you probably want to cache this in some fashion. You probably want to have an actual list of some kind that holds these list items, so you're not constantly recreating them, but this is just a test. So compile it, make sure everything compiles. I got this error here saying hotspot failed. This is because I've changed a bunch of shit. I've added new classes and changed hierarchies and stuff. So it's not gonna let me reload it on the fly, which is totally fine. That's what I expected. So we're gonna shut down Minecraft and relaunch it, just like a normal everyday program. Back when I was in school, a long time ago, in like high school, people always said that being a programmer involved a lot of math. And math was not my best subject necessarily. Like, it was fine. I eventually wrapped my head around, like, taking derivatives of stuff. I never got into anything advanced, like calculus or stuff like that. But when I actually became a programmer for realsies, I realized actually there's not really a lot of math involved for the most part. It's mostly numbers. You need to know about arrays and starting at 0 and comparisons to the length of the list and stuff like that. But you rarely need to actually do math, actual real math. This is, but I never dealt with like graphical programming. This is about the closest you need to know about math, about these offsets and sort of mentally figuring out what it means to have this plus a bunch of other stuff. Anyway, that aside, here's our list. And so just as I expected, there's a bunch of red boxes drawn inside the black space. What I don't expect is that there's only 2 items here. Either this is scrolled weird, or there's 1 box missing. And I'm not entirely sure which. Whoops. So I'm going to tweak this test method a little bit. I'm still going to draw this red box, but I'm also going to accept a string, which will be string. Sure, I don't care. This is just a test class. This item, and accept a string, and this dot string equals string. What don't you like? Oh, whoops. Okay. And then we're going to draw the string. Oh, wait, no, that's not how we draw a string. We use the font renderer to draw a string. And we're going to draw it at 1, 1 with the color of white. Oh. It wants not, don't worry about it. Not a big deal. And now this is not going to let me recompile it because I need to do this integer.toString I. Oh, I added this field, and now I can't. Okay, I need to restart Minecraft again. This, the real dark soul programming starts here, I guess. This is not. I'm not seriously comparing this to Dark Souls. I know. Anyway, I'm just rambling because I don't have a chat, and there's no one watching, and I'm talking to myself. And that makes me sad. Someday, I'm going to look back on this, and either go, ha, oh, just you wait. You'll have an audience soon enough. Or I'm going to look back and go, ha, those are the days when I thought I'd someday get an audience. this is just honestly, this stream here is just a test. Like, I wanted to make sure that I could stream at all, and technically the answer is yes, I can. It's not working. It's not super great. I had to bust my resolution down and my bitrate, but it is working. I can confirm that the internet can see this, even though nobody is seeing it. All right, let's take a look. All right, so that is in fact. So there's a couple things here. This is offset weird, and also there's a gap in between that I was not expecting. So let's figure out what's going on. What's actually going on here. The height -2. Oh, you know what? This -2 is not important. Oh, I see. Okay, I see what's going on. So the gap was caused by this -2. Oops. What just happened? What is going on? I'm getting very confused by my own self. This -2 is not important because the height is not actually subject to. So this was me trying to make room for the border. Actually, the height doesn't matter because we're going to start the drawing below the top border, and our bottom border isn't going to move. The inside is going to move. So actually, this is fine. We don't need that. And so if I can recompile that and load that, and now they're next to each other as expected. They're still overlapping the bottom border. Oh, that might be a problem. No. I didn't think about this part. Because the clip, alright, it's not a big deal. We'll fix that. Not important right now. Now, why is it drawn offset like this? The reason is because I'm doing the offset right here before I draw anything. So actually, we should offset after we draw, not before. And then, like magic, we start at the top of 0, 1, 2. But now we are offsetting, we are hitting the top border here. So we actually want to offset by 1 more pixel to make room for that. All right. And now, that's basically the implementation. The real work is going to go into figuring out, like, having these list items drawing each other. Pardon me. Let's try that again. The real work is going to go into figuring out, like, how I want this to actually look inside the box and drawing it properly. Is it dying again? My video preview is dead. But I'm not dropping frames, and YouTube is saying it's fine. Ugh. Well, I'm going to be ending soon anyway, so maybe it's not a big deal. But anyway, so I have no idea what this UI is actually going to look like when I'm done. But that drawing is basically it. And if we were to, so now, if we were to scroll this, so I'm gonna pull a little trick here. I'm gonna pause right here. I'm gonna put a breakpoint here. And right now the code is paused at the top of this drawing method. And right now the game is frozen because of it. What I'm gonna do is I'm going to basically poke into the middle of the brain of this program and change reality while it wasn't looking. I'm gonna set scroll Y to max scroll height. And that should make it so that scroll Y is 0. Why is max scroll height not? Oh, because this is wrong. because we have a 1 pixel border, and I want to scroll inside that border, which means that this.height is actually this.height minus 2, because I need to leave room for the border. So we'll recompile that, and then do that again. All right, that's correct. That's what I was expecting. And now we'll resume the program, and we should be scrolled. Well, get rid of the breakpoint, resume the program, and now we scroll to the bottom of the list, wherein we see the bug I alluded to earlier. The background has now scrolled past, is now scrolling with the list, and you can see that because the red is now extending past the bottom, and we can't see the white top anymore. And so this is where this comes into play. When I mentioned earlier that we didn't need to scroll Y because the GUI clip size has scroll Y, the reason is because it's designed so that it will automatically offset whatever you draw inside here by scroll X and scroll Y, and then clip the entire box to the size, the correct size. Here, though, we're always drawing at 0, 0. So when we scroll the inside of the box, we're actually scrolling the background too, which is obviously incorrect. So I actually need to put scroll X and scroll Y as the place we're drawing to, so that the background is always drawn to the correct place. And now you can see that the white border is correctly in the correct place again. It may not be super obvious what's actually going on here. If I actually had a scroll bar, this would make more sense, but I don't. Anyway, I'm going to call it here because I need to make dinner and eat dinner. And this was fun, even though no one's watching. Hopefully someday someone will watch this, and then it'll be great. And hopefully I'll fix my internet at some point, so I don't have 25 archive chunks for one stream. But I will see you guys later. Let me, actually, before I go, let me commit this real quick. First, implementation of the list. Yeah. And I'll talk to you guys later. See ya.